I'm here with Candy Pouliot, and she's the founder of Freedom Beacon Ministries, an online ministry in upstate New York. And I'm just going to ask her some questions about her ministry. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about Freedom Beacon Ministry?
Well, Freedom Beacon Ministries actually started because I was disappointed with the fact that I was having a hard time with trying to get my parents out of the Jehovah's Witness organization. They've been active witnesses for 35 years, and for a lot of time I had a problem with being able to talk to other people who were trapped in cults, because I felt if my own parents wouldn't listen to me, then who else would? And finally, God showed me a scripture that the Apostle Paul says that I planted, Apollos watered, but God kept making it grow. And it really took the responsibility off of me to feel like I needed to convert somebody who was in a cult. I was able to actually put things into perspective and realize that all I really am called to do is to plant a seed. It gave me a little more incentive to go ahead and reach out to other people. And also, when I came out of the Jehovah's Witnesses, when I left home, I had a lot of issues. The Watchtower was all I knew. I didn't know where else to go to for spiritual guidance or anything like that. And I didn't have any support. And what I really don't want to see happen is other people have to go through what I went through. If I can be there to offer support to other people who are thinking about leaving a cult, but they are fearful for whatever reason, and they need support, and they're confused about doctrinal issues, then we're there to help them. And I have a blend of people in my ministry that have come on board who are a mixture of people who used to belong to cults, and also Christians who are just interested in supporting those kind of people.
So you've talked a little bit about what Freedom Beacon Ministry has to offer. Is there anything else that you want to say about what it has to offer online?
Yes, we have a website, and on the website there are different pages for different cults. There's a page for Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's actually broken down into some sub-pages, one on blood transfusion, one on shunning, different issues that the witnesses deal with. There's one on Mormons, there's ones on Freemasonry. Articles are added all the time to that. There's also an online forum where we open that up so that people could leave messages for one another if they had doctrinal questions, if they needed support. Then other people that are group members would be able to respond to those. In order to make a two-way conversation a little easier, we actually opened up an audio room on Pal Talk in October, and that's been wonderful. We've had all kinds of people that probably wouldn't have heard about the ministry otherwise come into the room. People that need counseling, people who have questions about doctrine, people who just want to be edified. It's just been wonderful. We're open from Monday to Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually from 6 to 6:30 we have contemporary Christian music and chat, or if somebody needs counseling, they can come in and talk. I can open up a private room to talk to them. And then from 6:30 to 8 we have some kind of a teaching segment with discussion. And my favorite nights are Wednesday and Thursday, because on Wednesday I play audio from Dr. Walter Martin, who is the author of Kingdom of the Cults. He has some wonderful apologetics material on how to witness to people in cults. And on Thursday we do a doctrinal fallacy segment where we kind of wing it and take different doctrines that we know are not biblical and dissect them and figure out how we can witness to somebody correctly from the Bible based on a particular topic for that night.
Well, with all that information, I know you're getting ready to put out a book that has to deal with recovery issues. You want to give us a little detail about that, what you're kind of thinking about the book and what it's going to involve?
Yeah, the book is called Spiritual Battery. And actually somebody in my group suggested the name, which was perfect, because when I told him what I wanted to cover in the book, the title that he came up with, it was just perfect. I couldn't do any better than that, so I just took it and ran with it. My history as far as education is in behavioral science. So in addition to the ministry aspect of what I do and the apologetics, I have that background in behavioral science. So what I've done is to bring the two together. And what I've found is that mental health professionals a lot of times are kind of out on a limb when it comes to helping people that are coming out of cults. They don't realize what kind of recovery issues these people face, especially somebody who has grown up in it. It's very different for them, and much more serious issues for them than it would be for somebody, your age, to join a cult and spend X number of years and come out of it. It's two separate things. And what happens is that I think the mental health professions don't, one, realize that, number two, really know what to deal with, because I think they're a little put off about the spiritual aspect of things. They know how to help people with mental health issues, but now you're bringing a part of the puzzle in that a lot of them are a little put off by. On the other hand, we have the churches, and obviously they're equipped to deal with the spiritual aspect of things, but don't always understand the mental health side of things and the recovery issues that are involved, and how people, can become so dysfunctional as a result of an experience with a cult. So what I'm trying to do is bring the two together. And in the past, I've counseled with battered women, I've counseled with substance abusers, and what I've come to realize is that there are a lot of corollaries between battered women's syndrome and the recovery issues faced by people who come out of cults. Not only that, but people who get into cults or into an abusive relationship seem to have similarities as well. And the person that's in charge of the cult, who is pulling the power and control thing on its members, and the abuser who's pulling rank over the person who's being abused, have a lot of similarities as well. And then I've also found that there is a lot of interesting similarities between adult children of alcoholics and adult children survivors of cults. So what I'm trying to do is to pull this together and give the mental health profession a platform with which to launch a treatment program. Now, I'm going from a basis of something they understand and they know well, and trying to get them to, not worry so much about the spiritual aspect. But, I really think that the perfect treatment option for somebody coming out of a cult is a combination of spiritual guidance, so that they can get back on the right footing as far as theology and, what the Bible actually says, and not feel that the cult that they were in is the only truth, because a lot of them tout themselves as being the only truth. And then also having that mental health aspect. It would be nice if, both sectors could get together and work together to help somebody with their recovery issues, because the issues are very severe. I work with people who, some of them have been out for 20 years, and they are still dysfunctional in one way or another. They have a low self-esteem, they don't trust other people, they're afraid to get involved in another church, or they're even afraid of getting involved too much with individuals, and that really limits their support system. So all of these issues really need to be worked on. And then when you are a child that grows up in a cult and you're very isolated, you have the extra added dilemma of reaching adulthood and then finding that you have no coping skills for the real world, and you have no social skills. So there's a whole other piece there for adult survivors of cults, and these are very serious issues. And obviously, these people are going to be out in society working one day when they grow up, and they need to get a leg up on what's appropriate reactions to things and how to cope with problems that come their way.
Right. Now, you talked a lot about the victims of cult. Well, what about the people who are actually in the cult? What do they achieve from kind of victimizing these people? And what kind of strategies do they use? What kind of techniques, tactics do they use to keep people in the cult?
Well, again, I could compare it to battered women. Basically, what happens with an abuser and with cult leadership is that, number one, they seek to control the members, or they seek to control the victim. Number two, they seek to maintain membership, just like an abuser seeks to keep the victim from leaving. And the third thing is that they get some kind of perverse payback for what they're doing, whatever it may be. They're doing it for some kind of reason that is going to satisfy them, and there's no concern for the victim involved at all. It's all about, the leadership, if you're talking about a cult, or it's all about the abuser, if you're talking about the abuser. Somehow they're getting some kind of emotional payback for the efforts that they're putting out in this. Some of the tactics, you see, I have a board up here